Hello and welcome. This is another regular knitting podcast episode, so let's just dive into it. Welcome back. If you've been here before and if you just stumbled across this channel, I hope you'll enjoy this content. My name is Martina. I live in the mountains of center Italy and I love to share about my favorite craft, which is knitting, and I also share a lot about our life as we renovate our off-grid home and a little bit of recipes and foraging activities. It's a little bit of everything, and I hope you'll enjoy this content. So I come to you today with a regular podcast episode. I have some finished projects and lots of whips. November is one of those months where my knitting mojo is to the roof. I love to knit. It's not a shocking news, but October and November and December are usually months where I knit a lot. Yes, let's start with what I'm wearing because that's a finished object. So I finally finished my loom pullover. I partially followed this pattern by Sari Nordlund. It's the loom pullover and it has beautiful color work on the sleeves and on the yoke. And I heavily modified this one, and that's something that I normally do. I don't remember last time I actually followed a pattern without modifications, but what I've done here, I shaped the body in a way that it will kind of cinch in a little bit at the waist, and then I did some increases to kind of to kind of shape the bottom part of the body of the sweater. And I've done that because I wanted a sweater that would look beautiful on dresses, because I wear a lot of dresses and skirts and high-waisted pants, and I have some cropped sweaters that I've knitted in the past and I love them, but honestly when it's very cold I need my lower back to be protected and warm, and so I decided to shape it in this way so it will kind of follow the shape of most of my dresses and still look nice, right? So I'm a bit distracted because Mika is doing some work around the house, but yes, so that's one modification that I've done. And then I skipped one section of the collar work on the yoke because I didn't want the yoke to be too deep, if that makes sense, before separating for the sleeves. So I separated earlier. Yeah, so the yoke is not as deep as what the pattern kind of recommends. And what else? I added a tiny row of color work on the before the bottom hem, and then I did a 1x2 ribbed hem. So I've done knit 1 and purl 2. I don't know, I thought it would be interesting, but yeah. And I used, for the main color, I used 2 yarns held together that I received by a wonderful lady from the Netherlands. I used Badana by Rosa Pomar, which is a beautiful rustic woolly yarn, and this is quite itchy, like it kind of it itches, not so much, but I would honestly not recommend it to people that have, sensitivity when it comes to, rustic wools. But for me, it's fine because I held it together with this silk mohair by Isager. And was the color 7S, and this is the color 00. That's the Badana. Look at the label. Oh, cute. So these two formed this beautiful color. And for the color work, I used some yarns that I had in my stash. I don't even remember most of them. So I had 1 or 2 skeins of each color, and that's what I've done. And I think I love the white flowers here on the sleeves. I would have liked to create white flowers on the yoke as well, but I'm still very happy with the result, and it's super warm. I've been wearing it for about 4 days now since I finished it, and I haven't blocked it, which is something that probably will outrage some of you. But I don't have the possibility to block this garment in this apartment, nor in the new house. Everything is very cold, and we have one fire stove that heats the entire apartment where we are now, and around the fire stove there's no place for me to actually block this garment. So I could steam block it, but I don't have a steamer. Can you call it steamer? I don't have ways to block this garment, and so I'll just wear it, and that will kind of block itself out. And when the warm weather will come back, I'll block it. It's something that I'll do in the future, but yeah. So this was my first finished object. I'm very happy with it. It's super warm. I can film here in this room without any heat, and there are about 10 degrees Celsius in this room right now, and it's getting colder than that because the evening is approaching. I have to be quick today because the sun is going down and I don't have artificial lighting. So yes, that's my first finished object. I'm super happy with it, and I really recommend the pattern. It was very well written, and I think I'll knit another one, maybe in another color with just one contrast color instead of 3 or 4. To just see the effect. And it was quite beautiful to, the process of knitting it. It is knitted at a worsted DK, worsted weight gauge. So it kind of, it's not like a super, it runs off the needles, I would say. I want to embrace the slowness of knitting a bit more because I've been quite knitting fanatically the past month or so. So I want to slow down and enjoy the projects that I'm knitting on. Okay, next almost finished object. You'll see why it's almost. So I managed to block these mittens. These are the Cloudburst mittens. It's a free, beautiful pattern with a beautiful lace detail running throughout the mitten. And As you can see, there are some stitches that are on a waste yarn because I have to pick them up and knit the thumb. That's something that I haven't done and I need to do soon. But I didn't need these mittens the past few days, so I kind of left them aside. But they're absolutely gorgeous, and the pattern is beautiful, it's free, it's well written, and I love them. And I used a very beautiful yarn that it was sent to me by Suzanne. I love it. Suzanne is so beautiful. I should have prepared that, I think. Yeah, I used this yarn. It's a German yarn. And it's kind of like a sock yarn. Very, very beautiful. I love it. Quite rustic, but it's perfect, I think, for socks, mittens, and accessories. And also jumpers, I guess. It's 100 grams and 300 meters, and it's a mix of wool and natural fibers, textiles. So it doesn't have any synthetic fibers, but because it has some natural fibers, I think it will still hold together, even if you knit some, socks and you wear them a lot. But I haven't tried that and I want to do that. Love it. It blocks out beautifully, and I just need to pick up stitches or put stitches back on the needles and just knit 1 or 2 rows. It will take me probably like 15 minutes to finish them, but your girl is a bit lazy. I consider them finished because I actually block them on the fire stove. I hang them like that on the fire stove. We have some kind of clothes hanging sticks on the tube of the fire stove, if that makes sense, and kind of they blocked out. Yes, but I need to finish the thumbs. Okay, let's jump. I don't think I finished anything else. Did I? I finished this jumper a while ago in September. And I think I didn't really show it to you. It's just a self-drafted cardigan, but I think I showed it in one video, maybe not a podcast episode, but I don't really want to talk about it because I have been wearing it a lot and I don't have the yarn labels, and it's a beautiful cardigan and I am loving it and I'm using it a lot. We move forward. I want to talk about my whips. Okay, we start. I'm going to share with you the whips or the work in progress projects that I've been actively working on. I have some kind of frozen work in progress projects, frozen in time. But this is a project that I've been working on. It's my bedtime cardigan, and to be honest, I love this. It's just stockinette worked flat, and it's just a very simple top down drop shoulder construction. I haven't followed any pattern. I just kind of self-draft it and it fits beautifully, and I love this yarn combo. I'm holding 2 yarns together, and one yarn I'm holding it double because it's kind of lace light fingering. So I'm holding this yarn double. This is the yarn number 4 by Gould, and I have it also in this beautiful kind of, it's kind of like a gray with some pink or like rose tones in it. So I had 2 skeins in this beautiful gray, which is the one I'm using right now, and 1 skein in this color, which is the walnut color. And each skein is 100 grams and 650 meters. So I figured I'm gonna hold the two skeins together, so I'll have 650 meters for the body, and then I'll use this held together for the sleeves, if that makes sense. So this will be the color of the sleeves, and I think it will be looking nice. We like things that are, a bit, that have some unique element. And I've been holding this beautiful yarn that I just showed you with Drops Flora that I had in my stash, in this kind of light gray color. And these two create this super beautiful fabric. And it's kind of like a DK fabric. I'm using needle size 4 millimeters. So it's 3 strands held together. And I'm loving it. It's super simple. I'm just knitting, and I want kind of like a long cardigan because it's cold, y'all. It's cold. We need to wrap ourselves with good woolly jumpers and cardigans. Okay, so that's a project that I've been working on before going to bed. Little, like 1 row, 2, 3 rows, couple of rows at a time. And then I have this beauty here, and this little basket, which is my foraging mushroom hunting basket, but occasionally becomes also project basket. So the other day, actually like 2 days ago, I casted on this vest. Another self-drafted design project. So I absolutely love this. It's so squishy. It fits perfectly. It doesn't have much ease. It's kind of like 0 to maybe 3 centimeters of positive ease, something like that. It's beautiful. It's kind of like a top-down vest, and it has this braid running from the center of this V kind of neck vest down to the bottom of it. And it's beautiful. And I'm holding 3 yarns together again. One person once wrote me that it was kind of like revolutionary for her or for them to know that they can use 3 yarns out together. And I was like, you go. I do it all the time, and I think it's really good. It's fun. It's a little bit expensive, of course, if you have like, a sweater quantity in 2 different yarns and you hold them together, then you will have 1 sweater instead of 2 for the price of 2, if that makes sense. But sometimes we have lace-weight yarns, fingering weight yarns, and we want to knit projects at, a bigger gauge or with bigger needles, and it's nice to hold the things together. Then you create, you experiment with different yarns held together. So I held these 3 gorgeous yarns together. One is an alpaca yarn that I bought secondhand about a month or 2 ago. I bought it secondhand, and I think I bought 200 grams, and about 200 grams was about maximum 500 meters. So perfect for a vest or a shawl. And I started knitting a ranunculus with this beautiful 100% alpaca yarn by Adria Phil, which is, I think, an Italian company. But I bought it on a Swedish secondhand store. But yeah, love it. And then I unraveled the ranunculus because I didn't like to knit on it too much. It was too, the gauge was too open. I don't know, I didn't enjoy it much. So I decided to cake it back, and I created two hanks. One I'm using it right now, and the other one I'll cake it up and hold it together with this gorgeous two yarns. So this is Knitting for Olive in the color Oat. I'm checking if I have the label. No. Knitting for Olive silk mohair in the color Oat, and this is a 100% fingering, light fingering lace, almost way cashmere yarn by Mayak. This was gifted to me by the same lady who gifted me the yarn I showed you before, Mike. And she also gifted me the yarn for this sweater. She gifted me so much yarn and I'm using it all, Mike. I love it. Thank you so much. Her name is Mike, like my partner. So love this cashmere, so very luxurious and held together with these two beautiful yarns. It's just a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It creates this a bit kind of slightly marbled, I don't know if you're able to see it, but beautiful slightly marbled textile, and I'm enjoying this so much. I'm just gonna knit and knit until I reach the length that pleases me, and then I'll maybe pick up stitches around the armholes and maybe knit a 1x1 ribbing. And I think the neckline, I'll leave it the way it is because I really like it, kind of this raw, unfinished neckline. It looks very elegant to me for some reason, and I love it. It's just fun, and I'm using needle size 4mm. Then I also casted on an Oslo hat by Petit Knit in this gorgeous yarn. It's kind of like it's a merino yarn, and it's the Tibetan Cloud by Mayak, again gifted to me. So lucky, and it's so soft and squishy. It's kind of merino, and I'm at the point where I kind of folded. I need to finish picking up the cast on edge and knit it together with the stitches, and then I'll continue in stockinette and then do some decreases, and then it will be done. So Oslo hats, I've knitted many. I'll knit many more. I love them. So yes. Okay, I have also casted on since last time a pair of socks with scraps, because I'm hosting a knit along, which is actually getting to the end. It's a make along, and it's the Scrap Me Good make along, where we all knitted something or made something with our scraps. And I've made several things. I made a cardigan, a vest, these socks, and probably other things. I'm knitting a pullover using my scraps, and these socks I think are really fun. I'm just kind of playing with some colors. It's just scraps. I really love it. Really love this kind of color combination. It looks really nice. It's getting darker. So those are some socks that I'm working on, but I don't know, my sock mojo is just going down, so I don't know how fast I'll be with those. Do I have more projects? Yes, I knitted couple of rows on this shawl, and I want an advice if you want to give it to me. So I've been knitting this shawl with some scraps and also some minis. It's a shawl that I kind of self-drafted, self-designed, and it's quite beautiful, I think. But I was thinking to continue increasing and create kind of like a huge blanket, and then when I arrive to a point of the triangle that I'm very happy with, when it comes to size, then I'll start decreasing. So I'll create in the end I'll create a square, and then I can use it as a blanket. What do you think? Shall I transform this shawl into a blanket, or shall I just have it as what was intended, as a shawl? I don't really know. I never really knitted blankets. It's just I don't really have time. I guess I do, but I think it's really fun to kind of follow a shawl construction and then turn it into a blanket, because you don't have to seam anything together. You just like increase and decrease until you're happy. So that's something that I could do with this one, and just use some of my scraps. And by the way, I'm all over the place. You can participate still to the make along. It will end at the end of November, and there are several prizes. So just tag me on Instagram, scrap me good make along, and you'll be eligible for some prizes. So let me know what you think about this baby. I really would like it both as a blanket or a shawl. I could continue knit it as a shawl and then just have it as a massive shawl, this kind of triangular shape. It's already reaching a kind of big size, so I could start binding it off. Yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think. It's funny because the other day I bought a massive, like king size bed size knitted blanket on a secondhand store, and I paid like literally 20 euros, which is a bit less than 20 bucks. Can you believe it? It was massive and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I felt like there, so many hours have been put into that blanket, and I just paid 20 euros. And I don't know if I want to dive into the project of creating a blanket, but since I'm already halfway through this shawl, maybe I can convert it. Let me know what you think. In the end, I'll do what my hands want to do, but any advice is welcome. Okay, last thing that I want to talk about, checking the time, is I'm gonna tell you a little story, if we still have time, because the sun is going down. So a little story about my life. You can skip ahead, but I'm done showing you projects. I want to show you some yarns and what I want to do with these yarns that I'm about to show you. So if you're not interested in that, I'll see you next time. Otherwise, sit down, drink something warm and nice, and let me tell you this story. Once upon a time, 7.5 years ago, I moved to Spain. In this beautiful, it was kind of like an intentional community eco-village, and I went there to volunteer working in the office as graphic designer in this eco-village community. There I met Mike also, And this place was in the north of Spain, in kind of like a countryside, middle of nowhere, not so close to any city, but the closest city was about an hour by bus. And I moved there with my backpack only. And it was September, and it was still kind of end of summer, beginning of autumn, and I didn't have winter clothes with me. And as the months passed, I started feeling very cold. And it was nice because in the community, there was a space where you could get some clothes. There was like an area where people would put their clothes that they didn't want anymore, and the community members could take them, right? So I found a kind of cardigan, super used cardigan to use in the cold, chilled evenings. But I needed a sweater. I needed something, woolly to keep me warm for the winter. And the winter was very cold there because we were kind of north of Spain, close to the Pyrenees. So I decided to venture to the city, take the bus, and with my very little money, try to find a store where they sell like a industrially made knitted jumper. So I went to the city and I found a mall with a boutique, and I found this jumper in this green, bluish, it was kind of like the color of a lake in the mountains, kind of like green, but also with some blue tones. And it looked like it was a brioche jumper, brioche pullover, but it could have been also like ribbed, I didn't know how to knit at that time. So I bought that jumper and I wore it literally for like 5-6 months every day. I didn't have anything else. And eventually at Christmas, my family sent me a package with my all-time winter jacket. So I had a winter jacket, luckily, otherwise I wouldn't probably survive. But I had that woolly jumper, and it wasn't completely 100% wool, but I think it was maybe had some wool and some synthetic fibers or something, but it was warm, and I really cherished that jumper so much, and it kind of became my part of my identity almost. Our clothes are also a small tiny part of our identity, and we can always change them as we can change some parts of our identity. And it became kind of part of me, and it's kind of interesting. I always found it very interesting that in some cartoons or animated movies, or even in some movies, some characters have the same clothes all the time throughout the whole series or movies, and it kind of felt like that I had my style, my character with that jumper. Eventually I left it there. When I moved out in June, and I left it there for the community to take, because I just had the backpack. But I really kind of missed that jumper, and so I've been thinking about it here and there sometimes, and I started to think about it 2 weeks ago or something, and then I received a package. That's how the universe just shows up in interesting ways, and it's a package from a wonderful patron, Valerie. Valerie, thank you. She didn't know about this story. No one knew. Like, something that I just thought and experienced myself. I never shared about this jumper with anyone, actually, only the people of that community around 7 years ago. And she sent me this yarn. Now the lighting is going down, but this is basically the same color is the same color of that jumper. This yarn is more beautiful, of course, than the yarn of that jumper, because this has all of these beautiful different not speckles, but you know, colors. And this is Mountain Goat from Mountain Colors. Mountain Goat, 55% mohair and 45% wool. Now, when I saw it, when Valerie sent it to me, I was like, oh my god, this is such a beautiful yarn. But I thought, the first thing that I thought, I was like, I could make something for Mike, because he's blonde and with blue eyes, and I think he looks really beautiful with like blue and light green colors, clothes. But I didn't have enough. She sent me a sweater quantity for me, but if I wanted to knit a sweater for him, it would, you know, I would need more yardage. And so yeah, I thought just immediately I can make something for Mike, but then I thought about that, you know, that jumper, and it just made me so happy that now I have the yarn to recreate that jumper. So I was thinking to, you know, maybe create a brioche jumper, like a simple one, and try to see if I can recreate that one. It would be really like a journey down to memory lane. And so thank you so much, Valerie, for this. I'm just, this channel really showed me that in this world there's so much generosity and abundance and love. And Valerie, thank you so much. Yeah, so I showed you the brand Mountain Colors hand painted yarns, and this is the color Sage Brush. Each skein is about 100 grams and 230 yards. I was thinking to hold it together with a silk mohair. This has already a lot of mohair, you know, 55% of mohair and 45% of wool, but maybe I could use a sage green silk mohair and kind of like tone it down to a greenish color, because it has a lot of blues, but we'll see. Maybe I'll just keep it the way it is and not, you know, alter it with silk mohair. Thank you so much for joining me today and listening to this little story. The sun went down and it's dark now, and I'm sorry if the quality isn't the best, the lighting isn't the best, but this is the reality of winter, almost winter. We're not in winter yet. I want to thank my patrons for always supporting me. You're a wonderful community. We have also a WhatsApp group where we daily almost share our projects and our life updates and adventures. So if you want to join us, the link is in the description box. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.